Hey guys, thank you for coming to hang out with us here at Prime Honda today. I'm really excited to take you guys with me while we walk through this entire Honda Talon 1000x. This is an absolutely incredible side-by-side made by Honda, and I just want to do a deep dive into everything you need to know about it, good, bad, the ugly, and just the raw specs. So to start, this is the 1000, right? So you have 1000 cc's or 999 liquid-cooled motor. The Honda, as many of you know, it also has the paddle shifters. I've talked to a bunch of people who have really ripped these things, both average consumers and even professional racers, who say that it's more fun to have more control. So, you know, I've driven all sorts of side-by-sides, and in the grand scheme of things, it really is a good time to have that extra kind of control over the machine to say, no, I don't want you to shift, or I don't want you, I want to go down, I want the RPMs, I want the power. So that's really great. Let's get into everything else though. So to start on the looks, this machine obviously is light blue, navy blue, and a little bit of black on the rougher plastics. This machine also comes with a red, white, and black scheme, so that's really cool. And then if you get the base model, which really the biggest difference is it doesn't come with these Fox live valve suspension shocks, then it comes in all black, like Batman black. So then getting into this right here, if you take a look right underneath the hood here, you have possibly one of the greatest parts of this machine, and it's the Fox live valve suspension. These shocks have been on all of the top UTVs that have been coming out over the last 8 years, I want to say. And there's a reason that everybody uses them, and it's because, quite frankly, they're just the best. So you have definitely a bigger one in the rear than you do in the front. So yeah, the shock here in the front is a little bit smaller than the one in the back. You get just over 14 inches of travel here in the front, and then you get over 15 inches of travel in the rear. It sits on a 28-inch tire up here in the front. It's a Kenda tire. It has a pretty aggressive tread, which I personally like when it comes to my UTVs. And then on the rear, you have the Kenda. It's the same exact tire, it's a rear tire. They do make them a little bit different on these machines. You can see lots of side-by-sides have this. You have the wider version of the tire in the rear. And this one is also a Kenda 28-inch tire. This one is just a 28 by 11, whereas this one right here in the front is a 28 by 9. So that's kind of your differences between your front and your rear. Also on the outside, obviously you have your roll cage, which is essential. It comes with a front bumper, LED headlights, and it does come with a nice little rear compartment area. The aftermarket options on the back of this are really great, whether you want coolers or storage or spare tire rack or any of that kind of stuff. And it also comes stock with a roof. So that's really great. And then a lot of the safety stuff that goes into UTVs, one of the biggest things that they make you, or that they require you to have when you're racing, is a window net. So this thing does come stock with those, as opposed to most UTVs actually don't. So now getting into the cab, first off, this was a really big thing for a lot of people in the UTV world. It's the full coverage hard door. If you remember the early days of the Polaris RZR, it was a top half door and the bottom half was open, and the dust would circulate, and it was really just a whole mess. So I'm glad that Honda didn't even try to break into that space, and they just said, we're gonna do the full door. Now, also with the door, you have a little bit of a storage compartment here. You have a nice handle, and then a nifty little cup holder and a mesh netting storage compartment. So that's really great. Now, as we get into the machine, let's talk about the dash. So just as you're looking here, you have about a 4-inch LCD screen in front of you with all sorts of gauges and lights, such as you have your RPMs, your miles per hour. You have, every option for what goes wrong. So you have your check your seatbelt, your power steering warning, suspension warning. It has your launch mode notification here, check your oil, overheating, check engine. Really just the amount of warnings that are available on this machine are really great, which is awesome. Assuming off-road machines, you're ripping them, you're riding them hard, and there are issues. And issues are typically much easier solved when found early on, as opposed to, riding with a bad engine and you just didn't even see the light. So that's really nice. It's super apparent in front of you. The steering wheel, super easily up and down for comfort. Then on your right, you have your key. So this is your ignition. You have your 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. You have your launch mode and your hill mode, your climbing mode. And then you can switch from sport mode to regular. So let's give it a start up. So right off the bat, I'm just looking right here. I can see that my shocks are in normal mode. I can switch from normal to sport. The sport mode will be a little bit of a stiffer suspension. The reason that they allow you to switch that is because, you know, if you take this thing to Moab, you kind of want it to be soft as you're squishing around the rocks. But if you're going fast and you're hitting whoops or jumps, or even just out in the desert and you're carrying a little bit more speed, you want it to be a stiffer shock because you'll still compress, but you won't compress all the way and hit the bottom. This thing also right here in the cab, which is kind of nice, it just has a cigarette lighter for any of your charging. You have your old shiz handle, nice little glove compartment. You know, this is where I typically keep registration, insurance, anything else. I wouldn't recommend putting your phone in there. It'll just rattle around and end up having all sorts of issues. And then in the center here, you have 2 cup holders and then your transmission or your gear shift, which this thing just has low, high, neutral, reverse, and park. In addition to that, your front seat can move forward and back. So if you want to put your kids in here, I know that I've been letting little people drive for quite a long time, and having the seat that moves is very comfortable. The passenger seat does not move, so that's just kind of good for you to know. But you know, that one doesn't really matter as much, as you don't really need to do anything. The shiz bar does move in and out. And then also the last thing in the cab is it does have ports for switches. So light bar, winch, you know, anything else, it has easy access to put a switch in here so that you're not having to wire and drill and screw and, you know, do all this kind of wild stuff that you have to do in some other vehicles. Last thing I'll mention about the cab is if you look right here, you can see that these seats are set up for harnesses. It comes stock with a traditional style car seat belt. But if you wish to, you know, add a little bit of safety to your ride and you're going to ride a little more aggressively and a little more dangerously, this does have ports to easily install harnesses. So the harnesses just go around the roll cage right here behind, and then obviously there's all sorts of anchor points so that you can hook those up. I personally love this machine. The way the transmission works is very different from most other side-by-sides on the market, and the live valve suspension does make it an incredibly comfortable ride. And in this blue color, I just have to say I'm a fan. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we're going to be making more videos like this in the future. If you guys want to check out our store, this is Prime Honda in Nephi, Utah. Make sure to visit our website. Stay tuned for all off-roading content, reviews, and information. Thank you guys for watching.